Hi everyone, welcome back once again. Today we're going to be doing Solve for X from your question 1, grade 12, November 2021, past paper. Question 1, 1.1, it says solve for X 1.1.1. We are given the equation x squared minus 2x minus 24 is equals to 0. Alright, so there are two ways in which you can solve for this question, right? So the most easiest way is using quadratic formula, right? If you don't know how to factorize, don't stress yourself and trying to get factors of 24. When you subtract them, it's gonna give me minus 2. No. Just use quadratic formula if the equation it's in a quadratic format. Okay, so basically we can say x equals to minus b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac over what? Over 2a, right? So it's gonna be minus, what is your b? It's minus 2 plus or minus root of, well, our b is minus 2 squared minus 4, our a is 1, and our c is minus 24 over what? Over 2 into a, which is 1. All right, then when we punch the calculator, x is going to be equals to 6, or x is going to be equals to probably negative 4. All right, x will be minus 4. Okay, so this is the first method that you can use, but if you know how to factorize, you could have simply come here and say what are the factors of 24. It's actually 6 times 4, but these factors, when we subtract them or rather add them, they must give us negative 2. So it's basically minus 6 plus 4, so that we can get negative 2 in the middle, right? So when we factorize, it's going to be x minus 6 and also another factor x plus 4 is equals to 0. Then you'll see x equals to 6 or x equals to minus 4, right? But if you don't know how to factorize, please don't stress yourself. Go to the quadratic formula, substitute, get your answer. All right. 1.1.2, we are given 2x squared minus 3x minus 3 is equals to 0. So for x, right? So in front they say correct to 2 decimal place. Immediately when you see this kind of statement in front, you don't even have to think twice. You go straight to the what? To the quadratic formula, right? So always, if they say correct to 2 decimal place, make sure your equation is expressed in the standard form for a quadratic uh, equation. Then use a quadratic formula to solve for x. So x will be minus b plus or minus what? Root of b squared minus minus 4ac over what? Over 2a, right? We can write our data if we want to say what is our a is the coefficient of x squared, which is 2, b is the coefficient of x, which is minus 3, and c is our constant, which is also minus 3, right? So it's going to be minus into what is our b, minus 3, plus or minus root of b is minus 3 squared minus 4, a is 2, c is minus 3. All right, all divided by what? By 2 into a, which is 2. Okay, we can just simply use a calculator to get the answer. So we're gonna get x equals to 3 plus root 3 over 4, or x equals to 3 minus root 3 over 4. When we convert this to decimal, because they said correct to 2 decimal place, it's gonna be 2 comma, it's giving me 186. So to 2 decimal place is gonna be 2 comma what? 19 this side. Or the one for negative, it's gonna be negative 0 comma what? Comma 686. So to choose the decimal place, it would be negative 0 comma 69, right? Because we have just rounded it to 2 decimal place. All right. 1.1.3, we are given x squared plus 5x. It's less or equals to minus 4. They want us to solve for x, right? So this is an inequality because we have an inequality sign there. So what we can first do, we can first transpose minus 4 to the other side. So it will be x squared plus 5x plus 4, right? Because when we transpose, the sign changes, right? Or rather add the additive inverse both sides, you'll see it's going to be plus 4. then here we'll be left with what? With 0. Okay, what can we do from here? We need to get critical values, right? Critical values. These are values that are very important in this kind of equation. All right. How do we solve for critical values? So when you want critical values, basically you just equate your equation, right? So you change the inequality sign to an equal sign, but that is only when you want critical values, right? So you can use your quadratic equation quickly because this is a quadratic. If you know how to factorize, please guys, factorize, but it's quite risky to factorize. You can make some silly mistakes, but if you are confident about it, please do it. But for majority purposes, let's use what? Quadratic formula, right? So it's minus b, which is minus 5 plus or minus root of 5 squared minus 4ac, right? All divided by 2 into a which is 1. So our x, our critical value is going to be what? X is equals to negative 4, or x is equals to what? Negative 1. All right, so those are our critical values. After getting critical values, we go on a number line, because this is an inequality. We want to get the answers, right? We are going on the number line. We will go to negative 4 and we'll also go to negative 1, which are critical values, right? So what we'll do now, very, very important, I want you to observe carefully. I know that your teachers might have taught you something different to check, to test where the equation is being satisfied and stuff, but that's quite a long process. We can use a simpler method, which you just basically look at your equation, right? Your equation is a quadratic graph, right? Check your value of a. Is a positive or negative? A is what? Is positive. It's positive 1, right? And positive means the graph is a what? Is it a smile or is a sad? Is a what? Is a smile, right? When a is positive, the graph is a smile. So what you basically do, you draw your smile on those points, right? Then after you do that, you go to your equation now. So your equation wants where the graph is less or equals to what? 0, is less than 0. So what you consider, obviously this is the x-axis and it's where y is equals to 0, right? So under 0, so this line is basically 0. Under 0, it's on this interval because that's where the graph wants, where the graph is less or equals to 0. So it's under 0. If it said greater than 0, we're going to highlight on top like that, right? But in this case, it says what? Under 0, less or equals to 0. So we can give our final answer. You can leave it as it is. They will give you full 4 marks for just drawing that simple sketch, right? But you can also give them the equation like as an answer to say x is basically between minus 4 and what? And minus 1. So as the final answer, right? Let's go to 1.1.4. We are given the root of x plus 28 is equals to 2 minus x. Okay, obviously here they want us to solve for x also. So this is a SAD equation, right? Or you call it SADS, SAD, what, doesn't matter the pronunciation. So how do we solve SAD equation? So what you have to know about SAD equation is that you must first make sure that whatever that is contained inside the root is one side and the other expression is on the other side, right? So that's the first step. So in this case, we are given them separately. You have something inside the root, another side, and that are the expression, another side. So what we can do to solve for x, we can square both sides so that we can cancel the square root, right? So we can apply square root this side and this side. What we do on the left must also be done on the right. When we apply square root, the square root will die, right? Yeah, it will die basically, because we know square root is actually to the exponent 1 over 2. 1 over 2 times 2, it's 1. So exponent 1, it goes. Okay, so this one will expand it to be 2 squared, which is 4. 2 times minus x is minus 2x. Minus 2x will be minus 4x. Minus x squared is going to be x squared. All right. So if we transpose this to the other side, right, you'll have 0 remaining there is equals to what? 4 minus 4x plus x squared minus x minus what? Minus 28. So you have something like x squared minus 4x minus x is going to be minus 5x. 4 minus 28 will be minus 24. Okay, how can we solve for x? This is a quadratic equation. We can simply use quadratic formula. Don't forget, right? Just to be safe, use quadratic formula. If you want to factorize, if you know how to factorize, please factorize, but in your final examination you want to make sure that you don't make silly mistakes, right? So you can simply use quadratic formula. So our b is minus 5, so it's going to be plus or minus root of minus 5 squared minus 4a c, which is minus 24. All right, all divided by 2 into a, which is 1. Okay, so we can just simply use a calculator to get the answer of that. So x is going to be equals to 8, or x will also be equals to we just punch our calculator, minus 3. All right, so those are the two values of x that we got. And b, very very important, let me write it. And b, when you are solving quad equation, you can only expect one solution always, right? All sides equation, you can always expect one solution, meaning that you have to test now which solution is correct, which one is incorrect, and this part has marks. Be very very careful, guys, when you're solving sides equation, the ones that have a square root. Not that there's only one solution that is correct, meaning that we have to test our answers, right, to check which one is correct. So we'll go back to our equation. We substitute 8 there, and we also substitute 8 here, right, and we see if whether on the left hand side is equals to the right hand side. So on the left hand side is going to be 8 plus 28, and it's going to be root of 8 plus 28, which is 6, right? This side I'm getting 6. Let's see on the other side, are we going to get 6? 2 minus 8 is going to give us negative 6. Can you see? 6 and negative 6 are not the same and are not equal, meaning that when x equals to 8, this answer is what? Not applicable. We can just write it in front to say this answer is not applicable. Let's go and substitute minus 3. So when we substitute minus 3, it's going to be root of 25, which is 5. Then on this side is going to be 2 minus into minus 3, then 2 plus 3 is going to be 5. So basically the left hand side is the same as the right hand side. So when x equals to 3, that's the correct answer. So that's basically how you do that. All right, let's go to 1.2. They want you to solve simultaneously for x and y, right? So you are given two equation. So the first step, we can name our equation. I'm just going to name this equation equation 1, and this second one equation what? Equation 2. Then we're going to say from equation 1, right? From equation 1, we're going to make one of the variables the subject of the formula, right? According to which one is simply it can be quickly made the subject of the formula. So in this case, we can see that x can be quickly made the subject of the formula. Remember, we're saying from equation 1, so we can solve for x by saying x equals to 2y minus what? Minus 3. So when we transpose 3 to go to the other side to be minus 3, then this is our equation what? Our equation 3, right? We got equation 3 from equation 1. Then we must substitute equation 3 into the other equation, into equation 2, right? Meaning that wherever there is x, we're going to replace by what? By 2y minus 3, and there's another y multiplying, plus 7 is equals to, wherever there is x, we're going to replace by 2y minus 3, because we are substituting equation 3 into equation 2, right? But this x was squared, meaning that would be squared plus 4y squared. Okay, now we got our equation in terms of y. We can now go and expand at the like terms. All right, when we expand, these two will multiply this and multiply the 3 there, so it will be 4y minus 6. Then this is still multiplied by y plus 7 is equals to, when we expand, that will be 4y squared minus 12y plus 9. plus this 4y squared. Okay, so here we can simply multiply y again and expand this to be 4y squared minus 6y plus 7, right, is equals to 4y squared plus 4y squared is going to give us 8y squared minus 12y plus 9, right? We can just simply transpose this to the other side, or rather do it the other way around, but let's just transpose that part to the other side. So it's going to give us 8y squared minus 12y plus 9. We want to take that side to the other side, so it will be 4 is positive. When it moves there, it will be minus 4y squared minus 6y will be plus 6y minus 7 will be positive 7 will be what? Will be minus 7, right? This is equated to 0, right? So this and this are like terms. They will give us 4y squared minus 12y plus 6y will be minus 6y. 9 minus 7 will be what? Will be 2 is equals to 0. So now it's in the form of a quadratic formula. We can simply use what? It's in the form of a quadratic equation. We can use a quadratic formula to get the answer of this. So it's minus b squared plus or minus root of b squared, which is minus 6 squared minus 4. Our a is 4, our c is 2, all divided by 2 into a, which is 4. Now we can go and calculate our value of what? Of y. So our y is going to be equals to 1, or y is going to be equals to 1 over 2. All right, when we punch the calculator. So now we got our y. Let me use a black color. Now we got our y. We can now go and solve for x, right? So on our equation 3, remember we have x expressed in terms of y. Where there is y, we can go and replace those two values and get the value of x, right? So we are going to substitute y equals to 1, or y equals to 1 over 2 into equation number what? Into equation 3, right? So x is equals to 2y minus 3. X equals to 2y minus 3. We're going to substitute y, which is 1. Then here we'll get an answer of negative 1. Then here it's 2 into 1 over 2 minus 3. This cancel this. 1 minus 3 is going to give us minus 2. I don't know if you can see that, but we can now finally conclude that when y equals to 1, x we got it as negative 1. And when y is equals to 1 over 2, x we got it as equals to negative 2. So we have basically solved for x and y simultaneously. Alright, let's lastly conclude with 1.3. It says the roots of an equation are x equals to minus n plus or minus root of n squared minus 4 and p over 2m, where m, n, and p are positive real numbers. The numbers m, n, and p are in that order. In that order, they form a geometric sequence. Prove that x is a non-real number. Okay, they want you to basically prove that this x here, which is equals to all these things expressed in terms of m, n, and p, is actually a non-real number. How can we prove that x is a non-real number? Okay, that's the question. Number one, if we can manage to prove that m is 0, then we can conclude, oh, any number divided by 0 is non-real. It doesn't exist. It's undefined, right? Then we can prove x is basically a non-real number. Or again, if we can prove that inside the square root there's a negative, right? Then we can deduce, oh, x is a non-real number because we don't have a root of a negative number. Okay, so that's basically what we can do. Okay, what is much easier to do? Let's use our given statement and let's see how we can maneuver through this question. All right, we are given that m, n, and p are in this order. They form what? A geometric sequence. There's something we can do. M, n, and p, they form a geometric sequence. What do we know about a geometric sequence? There's a ratio that is common, known as the common ratio. And how do we get it? We say the next term divided by the previous term is equals to the other next term divided by its previous term. All right, so this is term 1, term 2, and term 3. What is our term 2? Our term 2 is n over what is our term 1 is m. What is our term 3 is p. What is our term 2 is n, right? We can actually cross multiply this. We get n squared is equals to what? mp. Can you see? N squared is equals to mp. We gotten this equation from the given information, right? From the given information, we got that equation. Now, to prove that x is actually a non-real number, we have said it that you can basically prove that m is 0. And in this case, it's not really possible for you to prove that m is 0 because you don't know the values of p and n, right? So it's going to be hard, that one. So basically, we can prove that the root is actually less than 0, right? So we are required to prove actually that delta is less than what? 0. If delta is less than 0, we know that delta is found inside the square root, right? Because it's a b squared minus 4ac. That's the formula for delta. If it's less than 0, meaning delta is negative, then the root of negative does not exist, meaning x cannot exist, right? So we need to now go and calculate our what? Our delta. We know the equation for delta. Delta equals to b squared minus 4ac, right? But in this case, we know that delta is found inside the root. So in this case, we can basically give the answer for delta, which is what? N squared minus 4mp, right? We need to prove that it's actually less than 0. How are we going to prove this? We don't have the values of n, m, and p, but we have a very, very important statement that we got from our given information. Given that this is a geometric sequence, right? We are able to prove that n squared is equals to what? mp, right? As probably we can write that is our equation 1, right? So if we substitute equation 1 into this equation delta, where there is n squared, I'm just gonna put what? mp minus. So I'm replacing n squared by mp because we have proven that those are equal if that is a geometric sequence. Minus 4mp. So my delta will be mp minus 4mp. So it's 1 minus 4. It's gonna be minus 3mp. Remember, they said m and p will always be what? Will always be positive real numbers. So if these two are always positive and they are being multiplied by something that is negative, what does it tell you about the final answer? The final answer will always be what? Less than 0. So we have now proven that, oh, actually delta is going to be less than 0, meaning that x is going to be non-real because we'll have a root of a negative. Right, otherwise great stuff. That's all for me for this lesson. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our session. We did from question 1 to question 12 from your grade 12 November 2021 past papers. Otherwise, that's all for me and goodbye.